and welcome to HW News. Days after the Supreme Court holding activist-lawyer Prashant Bhushan guilty of contempt of court and even giving him time to tender an unconditional apology, Prashant Bhushan today once again remained adamant on his stance and said that he will not apologize for his tweets. The two tweets that he made, one sharing picture of CJI Bobde on a Harley Davidson in Nagpur in Raj Bhavan and the other on the judiciary and the last 4 CJIs in general. The court held him guilty of contempt on August 14 and decided to pronounce quantum of punishment on 28th of August, but the sentencing hearing caught the headlines for the statement that was read out by Prashant Bhushan in the court refusing to apologize, which probably is the stark reminder of our times on how not to budge to pressure if you strongly believe you stand on the right side of the history. After the statement that Bhushan read out, the Solicitor General as well requested the court to not punish Bhushan for his tweets. After a long hearing, the court asked Bhushan to reconsider his statement, but Bhushan said that he strongly believes in what he said and he will not apologize. So the court, as a final resort, gave him 2 or 3 more days and asked him to consider his statement once again. Today, Prashant Bhushan filed a statement before the Supreme Court. He said apologizing for his tweets would be insincere on his part. Bhushan added that he believes the Supreme Court is the last bastion of hope for the protection of fundamental rights and the watchdog of constitutional democracy itself. He further says that there is a duty on court officers such as himself to speak up when there is deviation from the Supreme Court's sterling record. Let me read out some of the entire letter that we have got, and that is the statement that has been filed by Prashant Bhushan. It is with deep regret that I read the order of this Honorable Court dated 20th of August. At the hearing, the court asked me to take 2 to 3 days to reconsider the statement I made in the court. However, the order subsequently states, we have given time to the contemner to submit unconditional apology if he so desires. I have never stood on a ceremony when it comes to offering an apology for any mistake or wrongdoing on my part. It has been a privilege for me to have served this institution and bring several important public interest causes before it. I live with the realization that I have received from this institution much more than I have had the opportunity to give it. I cannot but have the highest regard for the institution of the Supreme Court. I believe that the Supreme Court is the last bastion of hope for the protection of fundamental rights, the watchdog institutions, and indeed for constitutional democracy itself. It has rightly been called the most powerful court in the democratic world and often an exemplar for courts across the globe. Today, in these troubling times, the hopes of the people of India vest in this court to ensure the rule of law and the constitution and not an untrammeled rule of executive. This casts a duty, especially for an officer of this court like myself, to speak up when I believe there is a deviation from its sterling record. Therefore, I expressed myself in good faith, not to malign the Supreme Court or any particular Chief Justice, but to offer constructive criticism so that the court can arrest any drift away from its long-standing role as a guardian of Constitution and custodian of people's rights. My tweets represented this bona fide belief that I continue to hold. Public expression of these beliefs was, I believe, in line with my higher obligations as a citizen and a loyal officer of this court. Therefore, an apology for expression of these beliefs, conditional or unconditional, would be insincere. An apology cannot be a mere incantation, and any apology has to, as the court has itself put it, be sincerely made. This is especially so when I have made the statements bona fide and pleaded truths with full details which have not been dealt with by the court. If I retract my statement before this court that I otherwise believe to be true or offer an insincere apology, that in my eyes would amount to contempt of my conscience and of an institution that I hold in high esteem. Well, the matter will now be heard in the Supreme Court, but here is the thing. Prashant Bhushan standing up for his belief has not only been seen as an act of courage in India, but also in many other countries. Several Indian American groups came together and expressed solidarity with Prashant Bhushan. Some of them have recorded their message on video, and here is what they have said.
Hi, my name is Rohit Tripathi, and I'm from a group called Young India. We are a diaspora group focused on the issues of human dignity and human freedom. Today, I want to say a few words about Mr. Prashant Bhushan, a senior advocate of the Supreme Court, who's been charged with contempt and actually convicted of contempt. And the reason why I want to talk to you today is the challenges that this case presents is not only a challenge to Mr. Bhushan, but also to the fundamental rights of every Indian citizen. Uh, the, the freedom to speak your mind and to speak your conscience is so fundamental to the republic that any attack on it, even tangential, even at a superficial level, is still a serious threat to democracy and to the republic for which it stands. So we hope that our efforts in solidarity with Mr. Bhushan, raise the awareness about this issue and make Indians everywhere in India and outside take stock of where the democracy is headed and how the republic is faring today.
This is Dr. Manish Madan, and I welcome you on behalf of the Indian American diaspora, represented by collective voices of all faiths, beliefs, and ideology that are committed to reclaiming India back to its foundational values that once solemnly resolved to constitute India into a socialist, secular, democratic republic with securing to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity as it began the journey of independent India nearly three-quarters of a century ago. It is ironic that while we all celebrated India's Independence Day not too long ago, here we are talking about what that freedom really means in today's independent India. Are we free from hunger? Are we free from poverty? Are we free from lack of literacy? Are we free from lack of access to proper healthcare to millions? Are we free from superstitions? Are we free from corruption? Are we free from violence against women? Are we free from mob lynching? Are we free from hate, polarization, and killing in the name of religion? Are we free from the compromising nature of institutions, our values, and perhaps reducing this conversation to a more simplistic question, are we free from speaking truth to the power in the 74th year of independent India? Do we have freedom to exercise our basic fundamental right, the right to free speech in India today? Do we? To answer that specific question, we have put together today's press conference and this esteemed panelist. As the voice of Indian American diaspora, we thank Hindus for Human Rights, Global Indian Progressive Alliance, Young India, Student Against Hindutva Ideology, Voices Against Fascism in India, Indian American Muslim Council, and Dr. Ambedkar International Center, and many other sister organizations for coming together in expressing their solidarity for eminent lawyer and activist Prashant Bhushan and registering our voices against the contempt charges as it likely jeopardizes the constitutional guarantees. Myself, I'm Dr. Madan, Professor of Criminal Justice and founder for Global Indian Progressive Alliance, a grassroots organization headquartered in New Jersey. We stand for bringing people together towards building progressive communities and dedicated members represented by academicians, researchers, political and civic leaders, corporate leaders, grounded in scientific, evidence-based research, driven in the pursuits of facts, liberty, rationality, advocacy, and social justice. As progressive Indians, we believe fiercely in the rights of people to express themselves and in exercising their fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution. To say that we are extremely disappointed by the contempt charges as a follow-up of initiating suo motu criminal contempt proceeding against lawyer activist Prashant Bhushan on mere tweets will be a gross understatement. On the very surface, it is devoid of due process and procedural fairness. India's constitution expressly states, and I quote, all citizens shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression, unquote. And with the nature of contempt charges filed, it has opened up a debate on the fundamental rights enshrined for every citizen within India's constitution. We see this issue beyond an individual, but more considering the broader message it is likely to dissipate in muzzling people's right to express themselves, which should be a cornerstone of a sustained and progressive democracy. For a democracy to sustain, thrive, and flourish, the right to free speech must remain as one of the most sacred rights in the citizenry can and must have, and we must stand in solidarity unconditionally on that. Criticism allows us to introspect on our conduct both at an individual level and the institutional level that we claim to represent. It can allow for new ideas, new value systems to emerge, whereby disagreements do not necessarily mean disrespect. And by no stretch of imagination, they bring disrepute to the institutions that have withstood time and again for far too long and for far bigger than a few individuals who are the current custodians. Similar to America's fundamental values, dissent in India needs to be considered as Indian tradition. And clearly, we do not hold in contempt of following a major part of who we are, which Amartya Sen may even identify us as argumentative Indian. Should this contempt charge be upheld, we remain concerned of this judgment to becoming a classic case study on free speech and the intersection of current political environment in many courses on jurisprudence. Asking the question, where is the fine line of upholding constitutional guarantees? Even if we were to consider Prashant Bhushan's tweets as criticism by a hypothetical stretch, we have a precedent in P.N. Duda versus P. Shivashankar, whereby the court observed, and I quote, fair criticism of the conduct of the judge, the institution of the judiciary, and the functioning may not amount to contempt if it is made in good faith and in public interest, and I unquote. We are concerned about this judgment as a landmark judgment that is likely to shake the foundation of fundamental principles ascribed to citizens and bringing questions of trust and respect between judiciary and the citizenry. In the times marked by troubled socio-political history of our contemporary times, shift into majoritarianism, and question on the separation of powers, we still view Supreme Court of India as a beacon of hope that will stand for upholding the constitutional guarantees and show large-heartedness in viewing the disagreement as not disrespect, not viewing criticism as an affront to its powers. With over 3.5 crore cases pending over courts across courts in India, we request the Supreme Court to take suo moto in addressing those pending cases, perhaps, that may be impacting many ordinary citizens. As progressives, we want to look at the brighter future ahead. We look for a reform to the criminal justice system and suggest that perhaps the court take yet another suo moto cognizance on the vagueness of Section 2C of the Contempt of Court Act of 1971 that gives broad latitude to understanding what is scandalizing or what can tend to scandalize or lower the authority of any court, or that interferes or tends to interfere with the administration of justice and I quote. Perhaps instead of admonishing an individual's tweets, we need to shift the narrative in examining the said act so it cannot be applied in a way that jeopardizes the constitutional guarantees provided to the citizens otherwise. As Progressive Alliance, we also position ourselves in the historic phrase attributed to Voltaire, and I quote, I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it, and I unquote. In closing, as Global Indian Progressive Alliance, we expressly state our solidarity with Prashant Bhushan and hope that the Supreme Court will reconsider withdrawing the contempt charges against him.
Well, the Supreme Court will now consider the statement of Prashant Bhushan and decide on the punishment or no punishment tomorrow. Do watch HW News for the latest update on the case and let us know what you think about the latest statement of Prashant Bhushan that he submitted in the Supreme Court. Tell us what you think about it in the comment box below. For more news and updates, you can log on to www.hwnews.in.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.
If you like this video, please share it and we would love to hear your comments in the comments section down here. Also, please do like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to get minute-to-minute news updates. For more such shows and videos, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel.